easiest way to get full SNAP payments to everybody who's eligible is for the Democrats to come in here and vote to reopen the government.
All right, House Speaker Mike Johnson there on concerns about SNAP benefits. This after the program ran out of funding Saturday amid the government shutdown. The Trump administration is now saying that it plans to send partial payments to Americans who are on food stamps this month, the second month of the government shutdown. The move comes after two federal judges had ordered the president to resume the program, something he said he did not have the legal authority to do. Let's go ahead and bring in constitutional law attorney and professor Jonathan Turley. He's also a Fox News contributor. So, Jonathan, this a piece of the puzzle in terms of jockeying back and forth between the Trump administration and the courts during the shutdown, but a key piece. You know, SNAP feeds approximately 42 million Americans in the country. This appears to be a concession on the part of the Trump. Concession on the part of the Trump administration. How would you categorize this latest play?
Jillian, I think that the Trump administration said all along that they were willing to extend SNAP, but they wanted to take the simplest approach, which is just to vote on a clean CR and open the government again. But without that, they would have to rely on emergency funds that are dedicated for other purposes, and their concern was that that could itself be challenged. In fact, when these two judges ruled this way, the administration said, basically, give us what's usually considered an advisory opinion. That is, just say, tell us where you think the legal funds can come from, and we'll use those funds. They said they weren't even going to appeal one of those judgments. So I think that SNAP is going to be funded, but only partially. The question is whether we can get this government open again, because you don't want to drain those funds, which are there for real emergencies that could pop up with little notice.
Those allocated emergency funds, as I understand it, were to fund things like hurricane response, natural disaster relief, saving lives impacted by those types of events. Where do you think they're going to get this money to partially fund SNAP from? And do you think this, if this government shutdown carries on, can this be replicated like next month, potentially?
Well, yeah, that's the problem, is you can't keep playing this hand. You're going to tap out those funds eventually, but then you're also going to leave the cupboard bare if you need to go there with a hurricane or a relief effort or some other emergency. One of these judges is sort of fast on the trigger. She was stopped previously by the Court of Appeals because she ordered the funding of Planned Parenthood under a previous case. So there could be some tensions down the road as the administration begins to look at limitations even on using these emergency funds. The hope is that after tomorrow's election, there's going to be less political advantage to keeping the government shut down, and we might see it open up again this week. And if that's the case, then hopefully we can keep most of those emergency funds untapped and ready to be used as we go into hurricane season.
Right, then these legal workarounds for so many issues become moot, essentially. Secretary Bessent yesterday was asked on another channel if he could potentially see SNAP benefits put forward by the administration by Wednesday, and he said yes. Essentially, that would solve this one issue for a subset of Americans on SNAP benefits, but Democrats could also reopen the government before Wednesday and solve the bigger problem for all Americans.
I think that's right. And look, we've seen shutdowns before. These things are politically driven. But when you start messing around with some of these accounts, then the recovery becomes more difficult. And if the Democrats are going to change their position after tomorrow's election, it'd be awfully good to get the word out because we're beginning to look into these areas where the government's feeding on itself, and that's going to cause damage down the road unless we can replace those funds.
That's true. It's a great point. We got to look at the shutdown, but we also got to look past the shutdown and what comes next for Americans impacted by all these cuts. Jonathan, thanks for taking time to react to the developing news with us.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox